Hey everyone, welcome back to, I almost said Cooking with the Coach. You're just talking about Cooking with the Coach. That's coming up later. Okay. Living Empowered, where we are helping women live inspired lives. Today I have an amazing inspired friend, I will call you, yes. Letitia Clark. She's an amazing person. We met years ago at some Tustin events because she was the mayor of Tustin. And who do you want to know is the mayor? No, I was inspired by your speaking and the things you said and the way you carried yourself and all the other things that you have. So I'm going to let her give her background, tell a little bit about who she is, and then how her journey, how she got to be mayor, where you got to, and all the amazing other things she does, because she's mother, author, councilwoman, all these things. And how do you do it? How do you juggle it? So let's start with who you are and what you're doing now.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh,
I call you Coach Greg because that's on all your branding stuff.
It is.
So you're Coach Greg to me.
Yes, ma'am.
But yeah, thank you for having me. It's always great to tell my story because I hope that people can find themselves in my journey because it's pretty average for the most part. But I'm a Orange County gal, born and raised. I'm third generation. So my grandparents came here in their 20s. From Little Rock, Arkansas. They moved to Laguna Beach and thought it was heaven on earth. Yes. But as you can imagine, there weren't many Black families in Orange County. They lived on Beach Boulevard, I think, not on Beach, Ocean Boulevard in Laguna Beach. Yep. And a mile or less from the ocean. Yes. And they lived on one block that allowed African-American families to live in Laguna Beach. And my dad was born on that block and was the first African-American baby born at Hoag Hospital in Newport Beach.
No kidding.
He was in the OC register when he was born. And so we have roots here. Yes. And I always mention that because having that history here gave me the confidence to get involved and feel like I could have a voice and didn't feel like just because African-Americans weren't the majority here in Orange County that I couldn't be a leader. Yes. And it really was because we had a lot of history here and I love this county and love how I was raised. And so I'm an Orange County gal through and through.
And I'm Orange County too, city of Orange.
Okay,
County,
right.
So I don't need very many other people that are
I know
like
it's pretty rare. And so many people have moved on for whatever reasons, cost of living, etc. But my parents, live here and but after I went to Tustin High School, so that's my connection to Tustin. And after I graduated, I attended Xavier University of Louisiana, and I thought I wanted to go to law school. I was always involved in student government, really since like the third grade. Okay. And so I was always in government and all that kind of stuff. So I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I went to college as a pre-law major. And then in New Orleans, which is a predominantly African-American city, very different from Orange County, for the first time, I saw Black women running for office, for judge and for mayor and governor and all the, and I just had never seen that before. And these were women that looked like me on these flyers. And I was getting part-time jobs, helping with campaigns and earn a little extra money in college. And so I had a conversation one time with someone that I was volunteering for and working for. And I said, well, why do you want to run for office? She said, well, I want to help make the laws, not just defend the laws. And that really resonated with me. And so I looked into that and I changed my major from pre-law to political science and public administration. I got an internship with the city of New Orleans right after graduation. And then that turned into a job, a pretty low level job. So I just was getting coffee and donuts for a city council member. But I was in City Hall, and I felt very, very part of, all the buzz that was going on. So here I am, low level, not having a lot of responsibility. And then one Saturday morning, I get a call from my boss at the time who said, get your butt down to City Hall. It was like 6 a.m. on a Saturday. I don't care if you're in your pajamas. We need you here right now. So I never was really important enough to get a call. So I rushed down there. I did put some clothes on, but I went to City Hall and I was allowed on the 9th floor, which I was never allowed on the 9th floor. That's where the mayor and the chief of police and all their offices were. Okay, cool. So I got access to the 9th floor. When I got there, I found everyone was around the table trying to figure out how they were going to respond to the oncoming Category 5 Hurricane Katrina to the city. Yes. And there was no plan. There was no plan on how to execute a mandatory evacuation. Had never happened in the city's history. And I was considered at that point essential personnel. And I had a choice. You can stay and help, and we will help you with accommodations, et cetera, the best we can. Or you can leave and you can resign from your job. And a lot of people resign from their jobs because they just did not want to have to deal with possibly, losing everything or being in an unsafe position. So I elected to stay. I was 22 years old. Okay. And so I didn't have a family. Right. It was just me. Okay. Perfect. I've been wondering about, how do I be an impactful person in public administration? Yeah. So I stayed, and I stayed for over a year, but lost everything, my car, every piece of clothing I ever had, but I was there to serve, and I got the best lesson about what it means to be an elected leader, what it means to take an oath and be committed, to a community, and even if you're impacted directly. Sure. So that set the stage for the rest of my life. After that experience, I said, I'm all in. I want to do something that matters, and just be in the room, when it counts. Yeah. And so that led to a career in government relations, and then eventually me moving back home and feeling like I want to be on my local city council. If we ever have an emergency, I want to be at the table. It's amazing how a disaster or something disastrous in your life that you think, my life's finished, I've got nothing. That's a catalyst to start something brand new. I've learned that later in life, not earlier, it's later, going through, plenty of hard times and things, and COVID changed stuff, shut down both of my business. I had to start back over. Wow. Like, whoa, we're starting over. This is going to be a struggle, but still, if you find the passion, it opens some amazing doors. So I feel that with you. It's like, wait, this was really hard, still is, but the doors it's opening. Yeah. I wouldn't have been here with you probably. Wouldn't have been doing the other things, but I understand that. I try to relay that too when I'm speaking to kids. Exactly. You're going to have the hard times. Actually, one of the slides on my deck is you're going to get knocked down 8 times, stand up 9 times. Yeah, I love that. It's an old proverb thing. You're going to keep getting knocked. It's going to go through your whole life. Right. You may think I've got some friends, a recent client, same thing. He said it's bankruptcy, the house and everything went down, but his wife and him stuck together. They fought it together, and now they're living great because they stuck together. They powered through, another direction open. So that's an amazing story. Yeah, I mean, just to get that lesson so early in my life, it really helped and gave me a lot of confidence at a young age that, hey, I can do hard things. I can overcome challenges. And so when I experienced other bumps and barriers through life, it didn't knock me down completely, but I tried to see the lesson and then just went back to that time and say, hey, I had nothing and I was able to bounce back. So I can do these other things, Yeah, it's a good lesson. That's stuff. Yeah, stuff happens. Stuff happens for sure. And other stuff doesn't matter. Yeah. It's you that matters. That's so you that grew. It's you. That's one of them. I just baffled at that experience, like 22. Yeah. And that happens. You powered through. Yeah. I think of the kids nowadays. Would they power through or would they quit? I'm a little nervous for them. Nervous for that generation. Yeah. Like, it's the I don't want to go to work because I'm tired generation. Right. I'm like, so? So my answer is always, so I get that. I'm tired. I'm like, and what? What's the and? Right. Yeah. It's not going to get better. Well, I think back to my parents too, that they kind of allowed me to weather the storm, so to speak, because I feel like I don't know if I would have done the same with my kids or how hard it would have been to just allow them to stay and not say, no, I'm coming to get you or you're coming home. Like, you don't have a choice. And so they allowed me to kind of problem solve on my own and figure it out. And that freedom, meant the world because it changed my life.
Good strength on their part because you know they got your back.
Yeah, of course, right.
You know they're there if they have to be. So props to them for being there and then being the parent. I get it. You get it. You're like, I think I'm much close to me, but it's about you at that point, not them.
Exactly.
My son's Dad, I'm staying. I'm you know what? Go.
Yeah.
Then you go. You go do your thing.
Yeah.
I got you. So, that's good for them.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
Fast forward, I'm 40, about to be 42 now. So so, and when I moved back to California, I had twins that were 4 years old. I had just gone through a divorce, and here I found myself at 31, starting all over again. And I'm like, how am I here again? And I lived with my parents for a little bit, for about a year, but I was so involved in politics in New Orleans, and I felt like I don't want to lose all that momentum that I created. And I felt a sense of fulfillment, being able to give back. And so when I moved back to Tustin, I said, I'm going to get involved in my community. I served on the Tustin Community Foundation board and got on some other committees and things like that. And that was in 2012. And in 2016, I ran for office and came in second out of 4. And then in 2020 came in first out of 9 candidates. So
nice.
Yep.
Good for you. That's amazing. You just the perseverance of you is amazing.
Thank you.
For sure. That's a lesson. So everybody that's watching and listening for yourselves, you're trying to pass that lesson along. And real life examples is what matters. It's people's stories. And wow, what a great story. Awesome. And so where are you now? What are you doing now?
So I have a full-time job. I'm the Chief Communications Officer for the South Orange County Community College District. So that keeps me busy. I'm basically the spokesperson in times of emergency or something, but I handle all the communications. I'm a mom of 3. I have twin 16-year-olds and a 2.5-year-old. I was pregnant and had the baby while mayor. So that was fun. And then still on the city council. This will be my 8th year on the council, and so I term out this year. And just trying to see what happens next. I'm in school full time. I'm a doctoral student at Cal Baptist University for public administration. So I think that I'll try to finish that because everyone's like, "What's next?" But after I get out of office, I focus on finishing my degree. And promoting the books I have right now. So while mayor, I wrote Mommy is the Mayor, which is a kid's book.
We're going there next.
What a mayor does. And then last year I released a book called Babies Run to the Boardroom for working moms, but working parents on how you learn lessons from your kids and how that can actually translate to the workplace and make you a better employee, manager, etc. if we just kind of really tune into the lessons that we learn from raising our kids.
I want to go there. Let's go back to the first one.
Because
when I was speaking, I got the privilege of being in the Mayor of Irvine's office. And I told her that we were going to get together and chat. And she said, "Oh, there's her book right there." And so I saw your book there. I'm like, "Oh, how fun! I'm going to ask you about that." So
man,
where did that book come from? What inspired it, and what's the goal of it?
So, here, when I got sworn in the first time in 2016, the twins were 9 years old. And they're up there taking the oath with me. They're repeating it too. They know any better. And, I just kind of took them everywhere with me. And here I'm thinking that by osmosis, they just know what I'm doing. I never really explained what I was doing. I just figured they, had a good understanding. But every now and then we'd ride around town and they'd say, "Oh, they're putting up a new In-N-Out," or they're, or someone should do something about this. I'm like, who do you guys think the someone is or the they is? And I realized they didn't understand that I had a big hand in these changes that they're seeing around the city, or if they wanted to make a change, that I could actually influence some of that change. So I realized that my kids didn't have a full understanding of what a city council and a mayor does. And then when I just talked to some parents, sometimes they didn't quite understand, I would get questions about federal type of legislation all the time. What are you going to do about gun control? Or what are you like, well, that's not really a local issue. And so it really was just an opportunity to do some education, inspired by my kids to just kind of break it down in a simple way. But most of all, the historic nature of me being a Black woman as mayor in Tustin, I wanted to kind of memorialize that and have my picture drawn out with my family. And so that's kind of where the illustrations and everything came from. But I wrote the book in a day, and then I just had to work with a publisher and getting it out there. And so we were able to get it out while I was mayor, which was my goal. So the mayor could, have the Mommy's the Mayor book. But it sold over 10,000 copies and has won an American Book Festival award in the education category.
Good for you.
So it's done things that I never even dreamed of. I just wanted to publish it and just see where it goes. Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
You never know.
You don't ever
know.
That's amazing. Now, where can people get that if they want to copy?
Everywhere. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target, Walmart. You might have to sometimes place an order if it's not there, but it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Good for you.
Yeah,
that is amazing. Well, it's funny you mentioned that we as parents or adults just assume the kids kind of get it.
Yeah.
I'll share a little my own story. I coached my son's t-ball team.
Right.
These are little kids, they're like 4 years old.
Right.
And everyone's like, okay, Johnny, run to first. Johnny's, take your glove.
What's
Johnny's
first?
Like, what's first? Where is it? Why am I running? What's a glove?
Right.
They're looking around. And it dawned on me then, like, okay, pick the, I'm like, you got to take scale, this whole thing. Our frame of knowledge is so much further.
That's so
They're
funny.
seeing this for the first time.
Yeah.
So that was a learning lesson for me as part of my coachiness is step everything back.
Right.
And I work with people in the fitness and stuff. And I say, I'm going to speak to you as if you've never worked out before.
I love that.
I'm going to start from zero, not because you're not smart, but we're not going to miss anything this way. And I have people that are professional range and they say, great. Do that.
Right.
Because
break it all the way down for me.
Yeah. And my perspective is different than others. But in doing that for everything. So when I speak to the character and things, I break this like, what is it? I was going with, what is it? Don't just assume. Don't assume they know. And then same with my son. Now he's older. He's 14. So we're asking other questions. And I break stuff down for him. It all goes back to the T-ball.
Yeah.
The T-ball of all things taught me the life lesson of, hey, you don't break it all down.
Yeah.
But it served really well. So that's great that you did that for the kids because people don't understand. Most adults don't. Like you said, most adults don't get what you do.
And, people are busy in their lives and, you kind of want to be unknown as a local official. As long as everything's working, you don't really have to have a lot of prominence. Like, do the street lights come on? Is my trash being picked up? Are the streets smooth? Are the parks clean? And as long as that's happening, you really don't hear from folks a lot. And if you're hearing from them a lot, that means things may not be going, well. So I get it why people aren't, as engaged, but it was another way to show that anyone can be involved, anyone can make a difference, and that local government you can sometimes see change right away, and so to inspire some more engagement at the local level that's where you see things happen almost immediately. We joke around here just because I'm social and I kind of get involved in things. Even first moved in, I walked in one day and said, I think I'll be the mayor. And my wife just goes, of course you will. And she just keeps going like, I love it. She didn't even blink.
She's like, of course you will. Just let me know.
Okay. What do I have to do?
Let me know when you're doing that.
Like, make calls.
Really? My neighbor called me a couple months after we moved here because people would drive by and they would honk and wave and whatever.
Are you the mayor?
She said, like already the mayor of the neighborhood. What's like? I'm like, I just wave, but she tells her observation. I'm like, but it's
awesome.
It's a big job. I don't know. It's like we joke about it here, but like you said, you never know where you end up. And right now with the things I'm doing and the people I'm working with, you never know.
And you may be asked to do it. The people may call upon you to do it, and talk about God's calling or whatnot. You never know what God may call you to do.
I know because God's will clearly isn't my plan.
Exactly right. You can resist it all you want.
We had that discussion today. God, help me out a little bit because I thought now we're here. But okay, all right, wherever we're going. But I think you hit it earlier on is serving.
Yeah.
Serving people is such a powerful thing.
Yep.
It is absolutely not a weakness.
Yeah.
Like NFL guys do it and things like that. They show them a lot at the food kitchens. I don't think they do it for the publicity. I think the guys that are truly doing it, truly are their heart, where they came from, something else. That's how you do it. That's what I do. And even like the coaching thing is, for me, it is a serving thing. It's I would say coach is education, motivation, accountability, and sometimes tough love.
Oh, I love
but
that.
It's not training, but I approach everything with a coaching thing. That's just apparently that's what I grew into. Yeah, that's I am, but it's a serving thing too. That's how I see it. It's a service. How can I serve you? And I teach these guys that it's not selfish versus selfless. Right. Those are the things. There's a distinction. Make sure you understand it and be this one. Right. One. So you hit it early on with the service in serving those people. That just grew for you. And I think the more you serve, it's like you said, God's hand's going to keep showing up, let you serve more and serve more. And serve more.
And it really is, it's like intoxicating. For me, the bug hit me. So it felt so good to do that and to see that I'm not just living for myself. I'm doing something that matters. Yeah. And to have such purpose, especially at a young age, if people could tap into that early, they would, because they're trying to find it everywhere else, so if you just kind of delve into serving, you'll see that it's actually very beneficial for you versus just, it's not all altruistic and you're just, there for other people. It really does help you in your own, just self-growth and fulfillment. Yeah.
Have you ever served and then walked away feeling empty?
Never.
Right?
Never.
Like,
never.
Usually you could be drained. Right. You've been there all day and you still got the charge.
Exactly.
Right?
You got it.
It's like my wife used to say, you were working with the kids again today, weren't you? Like,
you got a lot of energy.
It's like the energy's different. She's like, your energy's different. Wow. She used to say, because I'm mentoring a lot with the Valley High School kids.
Oh, okay.
High School League. And initially she's like, well, I was there quite a bit, helping them with the leadership skills and all the soft skill things. Yep. She said, you get paid for that? I said, this is a give back. Wow. And she's like, she got it though. She understood.
It's a pay it forward.
It is totally a pay it forward to see these kids grow and do their thing, and that's going to spark everything else. So I just thought that was an easy question to answer, but I just thought I'd throw that up for everybody else. You go serve. I challenge you. We will duly challenge you to serve, and you let us know. Yeah. If you didn't get a charge out of it, double check.
Right.
Double check what your motivation.
Something went wrong that day. Yeah.
What's your motivation?
Exactly.
Right. So some things you get paid for, some things you don't, but the service is a payment. It's the fulfillment of it is the payment itself. Yeah. Okay, so now tell me about the other book.
So the other book, just promoting the kids' book. Here I am at signings and readings and things like that, and moms would usually be with their kids. Yes. So I sign it for the kiddo, and then the mom kind of pulls me to the side and says, how are you doing all this? Yes. Like, I know you just had a baby. I know you have the other kids. You're over here writing this book. You're on the council. Like, how is this happening? Yes. And they're like, what's the secret? What's I need the quick fix. Come on. Right. And what I realized is, I don't have a quick fix, but I've learned to take some of these lessons with my kiddos and allow it to have some, what do they call it? Intersectionality in my work. And so I've learned to be a better manager, to be more empathetic, to see people individually. Like I mean, twins is a great example because they're not the same. I have two kids that were born at the same time, in the same minute. Yeah, totally different. They're two different people. I have to manage them differently. I have to work with them differently. And so, there's just little things that I've learned along the way as a parent that have really helped me succeed, allowed me to be a little more braver in the workplace, allowed me to use my own voice the way I encourage my kids to use their voice. Just little things along the way where I'm not feeling like I'm struggling all the time with two separate worlds, that I can be, this boss I want to be at work, but kind of, just let the two worlds collide a little bit. So that's all the book is about, is just how do we use that intersectionality to thrive in both areas? So we're working smarter, not harder. And I'm really just sharing some lessons learned with my kiddos, and how that allowed me to just kind of press forward and being more comfortable in my own skin in a boardroom where no one looks like me, or, in a position that has never had anyone like me. So, just moving forward and not knowing if there's not a rule book, just as parents,
right?
We don't get a
right. I told my son that the other day. He's like,
we don't get instructions.
You being 14 is new for me too.
Exactly. Right.
I would say I know what I did when I was 14. That's my only point of reference.
Right.
Right or wrong.
Right.
Which is a lot of wrong. And not that we judge other people, but there's some things
but it's different.
What?
Right.
But yeah, I said it's a different point of reference. I always preface it like, this is how it was when your world is different.
Yeah.
However, we're going to blend these a little bit.
Exactly.
I'm old school. He goes, Dad, you're vintage. Because he's 14. I'm like, that still sounds cool. So I'm going to go with it.
Vintage is back.
Yeah, vintage, that's right. I said, yeah, what music do you guys all put in your movies now? Oh, it's right, the 80s music? Okay, that was my day. Thank you.
Hello, right, exactly.
Your music not on anything. That's my music. So bye-bye.
Yeah.
No, that's great lessons. And you mentioned you being the African American mayor.
Yeah.
Mayor Khan.
Right. First.
In Irvine.
Yeah.
First. And then Miss Valerie in Santa Ana.
Right.
All three of you. I'm like, I thought about that when you're in the way over. I'm like, awesome for you guys. Amazing.
And we're all friends, and we
figured,
we go back. I can remember me and Valerie had a trip to Sacramento one time with an organization. We were just doing some lobbying, and neither one of us were elected officials. We were just wanting to be involved, just wanting to make a difference. Yeah. And now look at us.
You three are like a powerhouse. Seriously, I'm not saying
neighboring cities. Yeah,
I know neighboring cities.
Yeah.
I haven't not met Valerie.
Okay.
She's on my
agenda. You would love her. I keep telling her she needs a podcast because every time she speaks, it's like she has a story to tell.
Okay, we need to
you got to get her on. Yeah, I'll connect you.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I read in her bio. I'm like, wow, another extraordinary lady. You three are all very extraordinary.
Thank you.
In your persistence, the things that you said, you're different. It is what it is, and you're playing in an old man's world.
Right.
I don't like the old man's world because I get blamed for everything. I'm not like that. Right. Stop. Don't stick that to me. I don't like it. It's not mine. Yes, it was somebody's. They caused it. I get it.
Right.
But it's not mine. Stop sticking that to
me.
Because I appreciate you guys for all that you do. And the things, the different obstacles that you've had to overcome to get where you are. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that world. It's just the problem I have with it is when they say, well, not you, or not your turn yet, or we're not ready for someone like you yet. And I heard that a ton, that, hey, just wait. This isn't the right time, or, we've already picked who we want and you kind of don't fit that. So can you just stand on the side for a little bit?
That rubs you the wrong way.
Or change all these things about you, and then maybe we'll consider it. I had a potential consultant say, good for you for running, but don't put any of your pictures on your campaign material. And I was like, huh?
Wow.
He said, well, do you want to win, right? I was like, well, I want to win, but I want to win being myself.
Yes.
Eventually, people are going to figure this thing out. I'm not trying to. That's what I voted for.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to trick people into voting for me.
No, that would have been way more.
Yeah. And I'm like, and that's how I'm going to get the votes, is by talking to folks. So they're going to have to see me. But that was his advice. Just go under the radar. Don't put your picture on anything. And I didn't hire him, obviously, but wow, that's what I was being told. It's like, so, to be encouraged, not to be authentic, not to be transparent, not to be yourself. That's a tough barrier to have to overcome. And you have to just know yourself and have your own values to say, it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. I feel this way about myself. I have a relationship with God who's encouraging me to move forward, so I'm going to move forward.
I'm going to go. My doors are going to open.
Yeah.
And that person to you is a test.
Right.
Is it where is your character? The character, where is your level of character? Are you going to stoop just to get it, or are you going to stand strong and like, no, this is me? So no, good for you. I had a thought on that. What's all about that person's fear. Right.
Oh, totally. Putting their fear onto you. Yeah.
Oh, and in politics, we don't need more deception. Good grief. We need more transparency, some honesty. Here's who I am. Here's who I really am.
Yeah.
My son, I don't know where he's getting all this political stuff, but we shared a little story a minute ago. But he said, hey, there's this lady running for president. I don't remember he said the name was. I didn't recognize it. He said there's a video. It's got her a little bit ago saying these things, and here she is now saying the exact opposite things. He said it's opposite. I said, is that somebody's? He said somebody put out a video that said, don't vote for this lady,
right?
Because she doesn't even know what side of the fence she's on. And he said he watched the whole video because he wanted to see what that looked like. So kudos to him. But he said, yeah, Dad, he's kind of like, why would somebody do that?
Yeah,
that's not how he thinks.
Yeah,
thank goodness. No, you stand for what you stand. If they don't like it, they don't like it.
Yep,
simple as that.
Yep, exactly.
They're not all going to. It is what it is. But yeah, he said, I don't know what the time span was, but he's back there going, yeah, she said this and this and this,
right?
And now she's saying this and this and this, which were opposite,
totally opposite.
He said that son is why politicians get bad raps.
Of course.
Because there's too many of them doing that just to get a position rather than like what you did. You feel your passion for the right reason, that's a hard field to be in.
Well, politics is already tough, right? You just have a lot of people needing you and asking for things, and that's part of the job. But I always feel bad for my colleagues who don't really have a strong sense of self because they are swayed in every direction all the time. And I think to myself, that must be very tough, like very agonizing to never know what you stand for, to kind of always be convinced to go, from one extreme to another. I can't imagine serving with that type of sentiment. And there are a lot of people that are in office that don't really have kind of a foundation of, this is what I will stand for. I won't go past this line. I won't go, and for me, that sense, it's very clear. I really know what I'm willing to do, what I'm willing not to do. But there's a lot of folks that don't have that and get into office, and it must be agonizing.
You got to wonder how they age.
Yeah.
And that's got to be part of the stress.
I think you're right.
Just that alone, there's enough other stresses.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
Also has got to stress you out and keep you up, and it's going to take a toll on your body.
Totally.
That is just crazy.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, you and I liked you from the very beginning. We spoke. You were like American. You guys are very down to earth. You're real people, which is amazing. That's why I appreciate you. In what you do. That's why I wanted to be able to sit down and have this kind of talk with you, which is great. And they get to know, like, hey, wait, she's a mayor? Yeah, and a mom and an author and all these other things, and she's a regular person. Can you share with us a little bit of, so there's young women probably watching, so they're aspiring to do what you do. You mentioned, being the first African-American mayor.
Yeah.
What's your biggest obstacle besides those people saying, maybe not today, not now? What other obstacles did you have to overcome to kind of get there?
I think it's just folks putting their fears, right? Not the unknown. I have a couple, just like stories that I think would have made other folks just not move forward. I remember, I was involved before I ran. I was in the community, and so I was getting to know a lot of business owners and people and serving with them. So I had this couple that they owned a business in Old Town, and we were serving together on a couple boards. And so when I told them I was running for office, they said, "Oh, well, let us host your first fundraiser." I said, "Oh my God, yeah, that'd be great. In your shop, whatnot." Yeah. 2 days before the kickoff, they said, "We can't host you. I've invited now everyone. I'm now trying to establish myself as a real candidate, and canceling would have made it look really bad, right? This is my opportunity to start raising money." Yeah. And I was just devastated. And I said, "Well, why can't?" They're like, "We just are afraid of what will happen if it looks like we're supporting you against, some of your opponents or whatnot. And we're not brave enough to step out there for you." And I remember feeling like, this is not going to work. If these folks, who I've built a relationship with, are too scared to host something like this for me, I'm not going to win. I am not going to be able to run. Here I was starting like a year early. I'm like, this will be the worst year of my life. I have to stop. And so I remember thinking, I think I'm just like not going to do this because it's going to be too hard. And then I had a couple people, I prayed about it, but I had a couple people say, "We're going to find another place." And then all of a sudden, another Old Town business owner said, "Well, I'll do it for you." Yeah. She didn't know me from Adam, and she hosted the whole thing for me. It was amazing, and we raised a ton of money, and then it kicked off, and everyone's like, "Oh, you might actually do okay in this race." And it was all I needed. But I remember being so discouraged.
Oh, yeah.
And I used that though throughout the campaign when I would hear little things here and there and said, okay, I got some discouragement really early, but we overcame that.
Yes.
So we're just going to keep
Another
going.
test,
And
right?
every weekend I knocked on doors. I made calls. We made calls in Spanish. We
great.
went to every neighborhood. I knocked on 12,000 doors before the election. And then I raised $50,000 on my first run. And folks were raising around 20 to 25 on average in the campaigns before. So I did the work, and you know, and it resulted in success. But had I stopped,
right,
because I, you know, was discouraged, then we wouldn't be here right now.
The perseverance of the whole thing. Just curiosity. Did they say? Can I ask? Did they say why did they say yes in the first place? Right.
I think they felt like they wanted to support me, but when folks started to hear that they were supporting me, the backlash, the potential backlash, they were so nervous about that.
Wow.
And I always thought, what will I do if I win and I have to see these folks?
Right.
And I committed to myself, I'm going to have a short memory. I'm not going to hold this over their head.
Very good.
I'm not going to hold any grudges.
Right.
And I think they expected me to, but I always smiled, and anything they asked for, I did it. And I think it made them feel like crud that I was so nice.
Right? Just kill them with kindness.
Yeah, but I was committed to that I will not, and I'll never say, you know, who they were, but I, you know, I committed then, and certain things happened after, even when I was in office, that I could have held a grudge on certain things, and I was just committed from there. Have a short memory. This stuff, you know, it's not personal. No. Or I can't take it personal because your view of me is not who I am.
Right.
You know, if it's that negative view or this biased view, that's not who I am. So I can't take it personal because that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. So let me invite you to come sit and chat with me.
Exactly. Get to know me. Yeah. Right.
Then you can have it.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Right. Exactly.
I told those boys yesterday. Someone's on social media. Someone's chirping. You just type in, "Hey, thanks for your comment. Have a great day."
Right.
After that, they got nothing.
They got nothing.
Where are they going to go?
If you're not going to fuel it and keep it going, you're so right.
My gosh, you could have been sitting next to me yesterday. Well, all the things you keep bringing, it's the character. I was speaking. It's creating young men and women of character is what my program is. But the things that you are hitting, you are it, because you talked about it, serving. You talked about the perseverance of getting knocked down, but not letting that stop you. And what you mentioned is also the power of forgiveness. The short memory is the power of forgiveness. You know, you may not have actually held it that way or posed it that way, but that's what it is.
Right.
I will forgive you for what you did, and I'm clear.
Yep.
And I'm clear. You do what you want from there, but I'm clear. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And it proved them wrong too. So whatever preconceived notions they or other folks had, I'm going to now dispel all of that because here I am. You guys missed out. And still kind and still gracious. So
absolutely. You know, you're the better person. They missed out on a great opportunity with you. Unless that interesting. If I was
little things like that, you know, happen along the way, and then you know, just talking about community for any young folks that wonder, does it make sense to get involved early or whatnot? And when I was knocking on doors, folks would ask, you know, are you a Democrat or a Republican? And my first answer would be, well, I'm a tiller. I'm a tiller first. So let's start there. Yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, me too. You know, Tustin High is the oldest high school in Tustin. Right. So their chances are you either know someone that went to Tustin High or, you know, you have some connection there.
More and more of those.
Yeah. So, you know, especially I knew the neighborhoods that I was walking around, like, okay, there's a chance they have some connection. Yeah. So that opened up a ton of doors, and it just helped people see that, okay, we probably have more in common than we do different. And so I always tried to lead with our commonalities. Like, let's talk about what we share in common before we start delving into a debate. Right. Let's figure out where we align and kind of expound on that. And I think it was refreshing for people to just see, oh, you look different than me, but we have so much in common, or we know so many people in common. Yes. And that I could talk to people for hours, you know, when I was walking around. And that was the best part of campaigning, which for some candidates and politicians, they hate that. Like, they're like, oh, I don't want to knock on it.
We'll talk to more people.
Right. Yeah. But it wound up being the funnest. And that's why I knocked on so many doors, because it became a conversation with people that were just like me.
And what a great approach too. That's another example. But the whole partisan thing is, I don't like labels.
Yeah.
I like the meat in the middle. I don't need to label.
Right.
Like you said, well, what are you concerned about? Oh, I'm this and this and this. I say, hey, me too.
Right.
It doesn't matter what label it is, because instantly now you have a put off.
Exactly.
So you mentioned, so you look different. You're female, you're male, you have to get married, whatever you are. But what are you in the middle? What's the meat of who you are? That's what really matters.
I like that. Yeah.
Show me the meat of this thing.
Yeah.
And if you have to put a label on it, good luck.
Right.
But really, it's because that doesn't really matter anyway. It really doesn't. It's who you are, what you're going to do, what do you stand for, your character, all those things. That's what matters.
Well, you make a good point. If kids can learn that early, that you should be curious about those things, what the meat of a person is, and if you're curious about that, you will learn things about people that you never knew, rather than trying to make quick and fast judgments. We did that when we were cavemen. We had to make quick decisions about a dinosaur or something.
That'd be a fast one.
But now we don't have to do that as much.
No, that's the thing. There's some of them are getting that, some of them are going the other way. But it's the more of that gets out there, and even the older adults trying to retrain them. Yeah, right. Retrain them too. It's not lost hope for everyone. Right. Let's say you get to the kids first, and the kids go home, and the parents are like, "What?" And then if you're lucky, you get to talk to the parents. And then, but it's the meat of the whole thing. That's so true. Because we're so aligned. It's great. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you would share, just in general, if we're chatting somebody that wanted to go down your path, or even writing a book, or there's a lot of people that have a lot to say. They could be great authors. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're mostly are afraid. I've written 2, and I never thought I would ever write one. It never even crossed my mind. Next thing I know, I wrote one. Like, then I just wrote another one. I'm like, who would have thunk? Like you said, who would have thunk it? But here, there's 2. How many books do you have? 2. Okay. Which means you're a prolific writer now that you have 2. Apparently. That's what that means. Is that what that means? Okay. All right. I want to be like you, though. I want to be everywhere. So, only not from the ego standpoint, but just sharing the message. Yeah. That's what my first one I wrote, it did get Amazon #1 bestseller. Wow. That was kind of the goal of that one. Yeah, okay. So that was a little bit more of a, hey, this is on my bio now. This is gotcha. That's an accomplishment. That's huge. But this one is all about getting in the kids' hands. This is the message, the purpose. Right. This is the deeper book. Right. This, I don't care. It doesn't matter how many. It's more the impact that it makes than the how many's. Oh, yeah. That's really what this is. Following your passion is key. Doing something that you're passionate about, because there will be times where you don't want to work on something, or you don't want to, or you have a lot of fear. But if you have that passion, it'll fuel you to keep taking steps. One of my favorite quotes is, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to be great. Oh, so just start. Just do a little bit every day. With the second book, I just committed. I had a little sticky note on my computer to say, write something today. Yes. So every single day I wrote something. Sometimes I wrote for hours, sometimes I wrote for 5 minutes, but I never let a day go by where I didn't write something. And then that just eventually got me to the end goal. Yeah. So so many folks kind of get that paralysis by analysis. They're overthinking it. Sure. They never start and say, well, once this is in place, then I'll do this. I'm sure you see it a lot in the fitness world. Oh, I do. Yeah. Oh, too much. Yeah, it's everything seems overwhelming to start, but you just said it. Take one step. One step. I've written that email so many times. What's your first step today? Yep. Drink more water. It's not that hard. Yep. Start there. Yeah. You don't have to go run a marathon tomorrow. Like, well, I'm gonna cut out the sugar. I'm gonna do it. You just listed 5 things that are hard for most people to do in a year. Right. You want to do them tomorrow? Right. Not a good idea. Let's scale it back. But it's the old thing. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Exactly. I have to tell myself that too, because it's easy to get overwhelmed by that. But to your point, just do a little bit of something. Do a little bit. It doesn't have to be. Don't make it perfect. It's not going to be. Right. Expect it to not be perfect. Right. If you have that expectation of not perfect, then you're on your way. But as soon as you start, it has to be the right sentence. No, it doesn't. Yeah. You're going to change it anyway. Right. Exactly. You don't even need a title. Just start writing what you feel in your head, writing what's in your heart. Yes. What is your conversation you had with somebody? Start writing stuff down. Right. And then all of a sudden it's going to go poof. Right. It's going to happen. And if you're committed to being transparent and really telling, whatever the story is, the chances are of other people
relating to that are so strong.
Yes.
So just be honest, just
Always.
be transparent, and you won't know whose lives you'll change because you're willing to be honest.
That's exactly right. When I speak to these kids, I tell them, I said, the stories I'm telling you are not made up.
Right.
Life does not need made up stories. I said, these are real.
Yep.
These are absolutely real stories. I had one, just let's example, one group of kids. I always have an outline, but the discussions kind of get swayed by the kids. So I get to interactive. Everything with me is interactive. It's not about me speaking. It's about you speaking. Let's speak together. Let's make it about you.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And this one kid threw up a suicide question. Like, oh, that's going to be interesting. So it's like, anybody uncomfortable, you can either not partake, you can step out, whatever. But he brought it up, so we're gonna talk about it because he brought it up. And but it just, that goes on to the next thing that you just gotta go.
You gotta go with it.
And
just be honest.
I've
never had a conversation about this, but here we go. Let's get into it.
In that group, it made me think back when I was in elementary school. I had a story that went with that kid in my neighborhood. I'm not going to tell the story, but it happened.
Wow.
So I had a story to go with that. The room was just dead silent.
Oh, I bet.
Like,
I bet.
Like, this is a real story.
Yeah.
These kids are just, whoop. And those are impactful stories.
Exactly.
And talk to the kid after. The kid was fine. He just brought it up as a topic, more or less, so it wasn't a tragic issue. Yeah. But it's the authenticity of the stories and the willingness to share and talk. And so that's gonna, if you're a writer.
Yeah. If you got a book in your head or you've always wanted to do it, just start. Just go and see where it takes you. Yeah.
And if you want to be a politician,
just start.
There it is. There's your advice of the day right there from somebody that's an expert. Just start.
If it's in your heart to serve, start there. Start with the service part, not the ego part.
For sure. And
that'll take you. And if it's not being a leader in politics, it may be a leader in another space. Yeah. But just start serving and see where that takes you.
And don't compare you to somebody else.
Exactly. Be authentically you.
Be you. Because I tend to look at other things like, I should be there. I'm like, you're here for a reason.
Right.
You'll get there when you need to be.
Exactly.
Or you may not go there. You may go there. So, yes.
Yeah, very true.
You be authentic. That is awesome. I think we're good there.
I think so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been such an amazing conversation. I don't call it an interview. I call it a conversation.
Yeah.
It's so fun. And I learned so much more about you.
And I'm so inspired by your journey too. It's exciting to see what you will do. Where you will go next.
Who knows? I want to have my picture on the wall. It's next to you. If I ever get there, I'm going to say,
it can happen.
I want to be next to her.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to be right there. I don't know. You know what? You don't know. And then you're the same. Once you get the doctorate, what's up for you?
Then we'll see. Yeah,
I know. So we're going to we're going to stay in touch
keep
for sure.
In touch. Yeah, that'd
for
be great.
sure.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it's my pleasure, my honor to have you here. What a great conversation. A whole lot of great takeaways too. And I always tell people, make sure you take something away from this conversation.
Yeah.
At least one thing. In this conversation, there should be more than one because you are just bubbling with amazingness. So no, really, it really was. So hopefully you guys had that. Leave us some comments, questions and things. We'll get them. If they want to reach you, can we put your information out?
Yeah, please do. I mean, all my city information is public. Clark at TustinCA.org. Okay. Call the city hall. They'll get in touch with me and I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram and all that stuff.
Yay, everywhere. Not hard to find.
Not hard to find.
So someone's like, I couldn't find you.
How? Did you go on Google?
My son Googled me. He's like, ooh, Dad, these are old pictures. Look how dark your hair was. I'm like, thanks, son. But stuff,
But I'm there.
You're going to be easy to find. So thank you guys for being here. Without you all, we wouldn't be here either. So we appreciate you. And again, keep your thoughts and comments coming. And what an inspiring conversation we had today. So stay tuned. We may have we'll probably have a real quick cooking with the coach. We'll go make some snacks in the kitchen next. Nice. So stay tuned for that and continue to be amazing, be empowered.